Well, we continue our conversation with the chairperson of the National Union of Metalworkers of South Africa, NUMSA, Andrew Chirwa. And as mentioned in the news, power utility Eskom say that the system remains constrained with the risk of stage 1 load shedding remaining for the next few days, with the grid needing at least 10 days to stabilise. And wage negotiations, of course, for Eskom workers are to resume to ensure the security of the electricity supply. This after a National Union of Metalworkers of South Africa, NUMSA, Solidarity and NUM, together with Eskom management, met with Minister Pravin Gordhan, the Minister of Public Enterprises, on Saturday. Eskom has meanwhile announced that its stage 1 load shedding schedule started yesterday, and it will take approximately 10 days to recover from the effects of the strike. Now, Andrew Chirwa, we'll come back to those wolves shortly, but I want to talk about the wage negotiations. Firstly, Eskom's financial woes are well documented, and they are currently saying they simply do not have the funds. You are demanding 15%. They said 0. So what has changed over the weekend? Can you just fill us in on the developments?
Look, just to clarify one thing, that we have not embarked on a strike yet. It was just a picket for now, which unfortunately, out of just a picket of few hours, we're seeing what we're seeing against what we've all been promised by Eskom spokesperson executive. We don't believe that it is correct that Eskom has no money to pay workers. We know their financial woes, that they've got challenges, which they know what are the reasons for those challenges. At the center of those challenges, it's corruption, it's maladministration, it's greed. And what is unfortunate out of this current impasse is that they are tempted that workers must shoulder the responsibility and be blamed for what Eskom is going through at the moment. And we refuse that workers must be the ones who must not get increase because of corruption, which was mostly led by management, including the old board.
So what are you saying? Are you saying Eskom does have the money?
We're saying Eskom does have the money. The problem with Eskom, with the money in Eskom, is that money is being appropriated. They've allowed it to be stolen. If they want to know, they want to find money, they know where to find it. There are companies that were paid millions for services that they never provided.
Where's the money?
So Eskom must go to get that money from companies like Trillion and many of those companies and bring that money back to Eskom.
Is it going to be enough, though?
But they can't. No, that money should be enough. You see, part of the problem is not only that area. Part of the problem is that they say they don't have money, but at the same time they are saying we are going to fund IPPs, to roll out IPPs for 36 billion only in this current financial year. How is that possible? When at the same time you claim you don't have money, but what actually you are doing is completely opposite. I mean, there's no need now for any extra additional power in the grid. We've built power station. There's no need for Eskom to be using such huge amounts of monies to roll out such a program. I mean, workers increase we're talking about, it's far smaller, far less from what Eskom is putting aside to roll out this corrupt program of IPPs, which are about enriching few individuals, few elites who are politically connected. So, and that's why we're very clear, we're very firm that workers cannot be expected to shoulder the responsibility now for Eskom to continue to turn around its financial woes.
So the rest of us, as ordinary South Africans affected by this load shedding and whatever else goes down at Eskom, we want to know, help us understand, who are these people who are benefiting from Eskom, so that we also know, and then we can also decide how we need to act as the broader public.
Look, at the right time, we will begin a
Why can't you take us into your confidence now?
We'll begin a campaign at the right time to go full steam like we did with the Guptas. What was not good for the Guptas cannot be good for the new dawn. People who are now using the new dawn, whilst they want to repeat the same corruption,
but why are you scared?
The same looting of the state.
Why aren't you just telling us who it is?
Which all of us have stood to fight against.
But just tell us who it is.
At the moment, we are finalizing all our work in our research. We know some of them, but we don't want to know just to be clumsy.
Just give us one.
We don't want to be clumsy in dealing with. I want at the right time, I will.
But if your research is solid, And you stand by it. Why can't you share that with us?
It's solid. Our research is solid. One of the things that we have said in the recent past, which I can repeat it, is that one of the beneficiaries of IPPs, the BEE components, are companies that are related to the current Minister of Energy, which you know him very well. There are people related to him. There are people related, of course, to the Rainbow Energy of Mutsipes. They are also around there with their own companies, these are people who stand, some of them, who stand to benefit. These companies, remember, they are 28 in total. So that's why I'm saying we don't want to begin to throw fuel as if we're selective. We don't want to be selective. We want to, when we come out and say, here are the beneficiaries, here are the people, here is a state capture happening under our watch, and call upon South Africans to all rise like we rose against nuclear deal. We want to do it in full. We want to do it so comprehensively.
So what you've just said in terms of the proximity to political elite in what you've just said, why should we be very concerned about that?
We should be very concerned because we know that when all these shenanigans happen, like we saw it under the Zuma administration, it's the poor who suffer the most, who are going to pay the price. And what makes it worse now, it's for the fact that the electricity price, which is very high as we speak, will be more than 4 times more once these independent power producers, once these looters find their way into the national grid. Once they monopolize the supply of electricity, Eskom will have absolutely no power to even regulate prices. So who's going to be punished more? It's us, all South Africans, and that's why we must rise. But not only for that. I mean, Eskom plays a one key role at the same time here. It's also a development institution. Eskom, as we speak, employs how many workers? I mean, thousands and thousands, over 30,000 workers, which Eskom employ. Not only that, there's coal industry as well. There's transportation industry in South Africa as well. Roughly, we're talking about 92,000 jobs. South Africa, as we speak, cannot afford to shed even a single job. But this program has got possibility to ensure that we lose in the range of 90,000 jobs. For what? For no benefit. For few elites to make billions, to smile to the bank at the expense of South Africa.
So it's a continuation of the class struggle, in other words.
This, like I'm saying, this is another form of state capture. So, and that's why we're saying the struggle continues. And those who thought that there's a new dawn and then we must relax, things will change, things are getting worse by other names.
Just a final one. Minister Pravin Gordhan and his intervention, has anything shifted in terms of the 0% that Eskom had initially placed on the table?
Look, like I said, we're pleased with our members' action last week, which they were very resolute and clear. Out of that action, quickly the minister intervened, and we must say that we have commended the minister for intervening with speed. He has indeed called all parties. There's already been a first meeting with him where at least the ground has been leveled. He was very clear that the negotiations must be renewed, negotiations must be restarted. The 0% is no longer on the table because you can't negotiate with when you are given 0%. The minister, through his intervention, he has cleared the ground, no 0% anymore. The real negotiations will continue. So from tomorrow, the negotiations will continue. As things stand now, we are doing final consultation with our members, our structures, but we're happy that the process now will be back on track. We're hoping that this process will then indeed yield results which will ensure that the workers receive their much needed increase, but also to ensure that the stability which we want, all of us want stability in the country, stability in the energy supply.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by this morning, Mr. Andrew Chirwa of NUMSA. And over to the news now, where we continue. And Eskom says that the power system remains constrained with the risk of stage 1 load shedding remaining for the next few days, this as the grid stabilizes. Now, the power utility says this could take as long as 10 days.